My name's Cheyenne Anderson. I am an 8th grade math teacher at Hanshaw Middle School with Modesto City Schools. So we'll use rubrics in the classroom based off of the objective of the lesson and the standard of the lesson that we're teaching. So we will decide what we think we want the students to know, and we will create a rubric for that will demonstrate what an A would look like for that particular problem and what a B would look like in C, and so on. The best example I can give is probably solving multi-step equations. So if we were to create a rubric for multi-step equations with variables on both sides or something like that, we would almost break down the problem and give students the steps to actually solving the problem for them. And we would just write down, like, as a checklist, like, can the student show that they distributed? Can they do combining like terms? Can they move a variable? So the reason why we like, or I personally like, having a rubric is that it does keep me very consistent with my grading. I don't even have to look at what the student name is. I'm just checking boxes and writing a grade at the top. So I'm very consistent with grading. What else that I really like about the rubrics is that if I were to have a parent meeting or meet with the student or meet with their resource teacher, I'm able to show them exactly what they're missing in regards to meeting a certain standard. So if a student has a goal about solving two-step equations, I can, using the rubric, show them, well, they're not able to isolate the variable or something like that. And so they have all of these different steps and almost criteria available to them, and they know that if to get an A, they need to demonstrate all of these things. If they miss a part of the criteria that's listed for the rubric, then that's why they got a B. Or if they miss two things, it's a C, and stuff like that. So we make our rubrics very clear and very specific to what we want the student to show, and how it also just gives them a little bit of support as well. And it's clear for us as teachers to kind of see where the student makes the mistake, or where maybe we need to go back and reteach. So our students don't create our rubrics with us. So we kind of create them based off of the steps that we give our students. However, they are aware of the criteria that's part of the rubric, and they're able to use those as support. So they do kind of they do interact with the rubric while they're doing exit tickets. It's not so much on our quizzes and tests. We like to kind of change it up and use performance matters. Sometimes it's on paper, but really on those exit tickets is where we want to give our students feedback right away and then have them keep trying, so that way they are prepared for a test or quiz. So they have access to the rubric and they're able to kind of, I'll almost see my students check them off for themselves and give themselves a grade. So they do interact with it, and it does serve also as a support for them, because they can read the rubric and say, well, did I combine like terms, or did I distribute correctly? So they are involved that way. So one of the biggest challenge about the rubrics and the grading practice is just kind of coming up with what we think is exceeding. I would say that's the biggest challenge, is the word exceeding kind of just implies that, like, students need to apply what they know to something more challenging. And so what we've tried different things to have students show that they are exceeding the standard, like being able to write an explanation or come up with another problem with different numbers, or another scenario to show scatter plots or something like that, where we want them to apply it real world so that they can see that. So some advice about getting started with rubrics is just find a standard, find what the objective is for your lesson, and really be specific on what you want your students to show you. If there's like a lot of gray area, then that's when like the grading A, B, C, and D, like it doesn't, more students will be like, why did I miss this? Why did I get this grade instead? Being very specific on what you are looking for is gonna be what drives better conversations with our students. A lot of times my students will come in and they'll grab their exit ticket and they're like showing off in front of each other. So they do like, having feedback. And that's the other thing about, it's not so much the rubrics, but like being able to give your students feedback is very important. So having specific expectations and giving them feedback when they don't meet the expectations.